Now, this is the second part of in order to understand the Riemann sum. Now, what we have to do, let's try to solve. What will happen if the width of the rectangles in the given scenario is not same? How we will apply the concept of Riemann sum in that case? So let's try to understand such questions by using these formulas. The formulas are given to you in which they are going to give you V meters per hour and the T hours, and they are asking you to integrate the volume with 4 intervals as indicated in the table. Now they are saying look at the table. When you look at the table, so from 0 till 0.3, the distance of the first rectangle is 0.3. How do we calculate the distance? By subtracting 0.3 minus 0, it will give us 0.3. The width of the second rectangle from 1.7 minus 0.3 gives us 1.4. Similarly, from 2.8 to 1.7, I will get 1.1. Now, 4 minus 2.8 gives me 1.2. So you can see that the width in each scenario is different, right? So how to calculate the left Riemann sum in that case? So when we are saying the left Riemann sum, so we are going to use the left points. So what are the left points? So the width will stay whatever we have calculated, but the left points are 0, 55, 29 and 75. So we read the graph from left to right, okay, in order to get the left Riemann sum. Now, since the width in this scenario is different, so let's try to use the formula, that is x1 f of x1 x2 f of x2 plus x3 and f of x3, then f4 f of x4. Why we are taking the 4 points? The reason is that we have been asked for to calculate it for the 4 subintervals. Now what is the x1? X1 is the width which we calculated here, that is 0.3. And what is f of x1? It is 0, okay, the left point of the height. Plus x2 is what? 1.4. Whereas f of x2 we will take as 55. Then we have x3, that is 1.1, and f of x3 we are going to take as 29. Then our x4 is 1.2, which is from here, and our f of x4 will be 75. And then you will calculate it and get the answer. Now what will happen if you are calculating the same thing but the right Riemann sum? Formula is stay the same. That means x1 f of x1, then plus x2 f of x2 plus x3 f of x3 plus x4 and f of x4. But when we are calculating the right Riemann sum, so you have to read the graph or take the points of the length from right to left. But 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, because each rectangle is divided into 4 sub-intervals. So what do we have? Now x1 we already have calculated, that is 0.3, the distance from first to second. Then we calculated 1.4, then 1.1 and 1.2. So x1 we get it at 0.3, and we will use for the x1 starting from 55, not from 0, because it is the right Riemann sum. So x2 is 1.4 and f of x2 is 29. x3 will be 1.1 and f of x3 will be 75. x4 will be 1.2 whereas f of x4 will be 48. Calculate, put it in the calculator and get the answer. Now what will happen if they are asking us to use a trapezoid Riemann sum? So I think that you might have in the idea that in order to calculate the area of a trapezoid, what is the formula? The formula is half h and base 1 plus base 2, right? Now let's try to understand that if it is a curve, let's suppose if it is a curve, let's try to make it like this, and what will happen in a trapezoid. So if it is a curve, for example, and you have a rectangle like this, right? So how to calculate the height? So this is your height, because in a trapezoid, so this is this scenario. So the height is h. Then B1 base will be like this. This is the B1 and this would be the B2. Because if we see this trapezoid, this is the height and this is the base 1, this is the base 2. This is the height, right? And if we see the same scenario but in this kind of the trapezoid, so in this one, this is the height and this is the base 1 and this one will be the base 2. Okay, so what will happen? So the height is the width actually. So the height is actually the width. That is 0.3, 1.4. Then we will have, so height is our, in our case, height is the width. This is our 1.1 and here it is 1.2. And what are the base 1 and base 2? Base 1 and base 2 are actually in our case the V. Okay, because now try to understand that how we will get it. So this is, in the first case, this is B1, this is B2. In the second case, this is B1, this is B2. In the third case, this is B1, this is B2. And in the fourth case, this is B1 and this one will be the B2. So keeping this formula in our mind, we are going to find the area of the trapezoid. So half stay the same for everyone, right? So I am not writing again and again and again, okay? So what I am going to do, my height is 0.3 times B1 plus B2. So B1 is 0 and B2 is 55 plus my second height, my second width or the height will be 1.4, whereas my B1 and B2 are in this case 55 and 29. My third height is 1.1, whereas my base will be from 29 to 75. My fourth height will be 1.2, whereas my base 1 and base 2 are 75 and 48. Write it all in the calculator to get the answer. So this is how we will calculate the Riemann sum using a trapezoid method. Next question. Imagine we are asked to approximate the area between the x-axis and the graph from x equals to 1 and 2. So x equals to 1 is A and x equals to 10 is B. Using a right Riemann sum. So right Riemann sum means that read the graph from right to left, which means we are going to take this point and this point. How many subintervals are given? 3 equal intervals, so you will take the 3 points. Okay, now let's check, is the height same or different for our scenario? So 1 minus 4 gives us 3. 4 minus 7 also gives us 3. And 7 minus 10 also gives us 3. So in all the cases, our height is 3. Now let's calculate the area using the right Riemann sum. So what is the formula? x1 f of x1 x2 times f of x2 plus x3 times f of x3. Now x1, in all the cases our x1, x2 and x3 the width is same. But here we are going to use the points from the right side. So the first point is 8, then 3, then 5. Calculate it using the calculator and that would be the area, approximate area of this scenario. Now, when you are going to find out the area from the right side, it is underestimate. Okay, why? Because the graph is strictly decreasing. So remember that when you are trying to find out the area for the right Riemann sum, it's always be underestimate when the graph is decreasing. Area, look at this part also. Okay, so area is overestimate for the right Riemann sum because it is increasing. It is okay. So you are reading, if the graph is decreasing, the right Riemann sum is underestimate. If the graph is increasing, the right Riemann sum is overestimate. So memorize these terms or try to understand these terms. Left Riemann sum, it's opposite. It's overestimate when it is decreasing and it's underestimate when it is increasing. So the behavior of the right and left Riemann sum in decreasing and increasing, it's opposite to each other. In the trapezoid, it is overestimate when it is concave up. So you can see this is the concave up, and it is underestimate when it is concave down. Let's look at the questions. Let's look at the questions and clear the concepts. So the function is continuous from 0 till 25 as shown in the graph. And you have to find the distance, how much distance Catherine travels. Find the distance using a left Riemann sum. So now left Riemann sum, and they didn't tell you that how many subintervals are given. Yes, here the subintervals they didn't tell you. Only they told you that you have to read this table from 0 till 25. But always remember that if they are asking you left Riemann sum, leave the last answer and take the points from the left to right. Take all the points from left to right and leave the last point. If you have to read the same graph from right to left, leave the first point and use the other points. Now, first of all, we have to check the width. From 0 till 2, the width is 2 minus 0 is 0. 6 minus 2 is 4. 8 minus 6 is 2. 15 minus 8 is 7. 15 minus 20 is 5, and 20 minus 25 minus 20 is 5. So width, we are going to take it in this way. Now maybe some of the students might ask, Miss, can we subtract from 0 minus 2? Why 2 minus 0 always? Whatever you will get, the distance or the width should be a positive sign because they are under the absolute value. So whether you write 0 minus 2 or you write 2 minus 0, in both the cases the answer is a positive number because the width or the dimensions cannot be negative. Okay, so a left Riemann sum you have to find out. Okay, so what is the width of the first one is 2. Now, since you are going to read the left Riemann sum, so you will start with the first point. Then the second width is 4 and the second point is 14 for the g of x. The third x will be the 2. Look here that I am choosing my width from the top and my points from the bottom row. So 2 and the third point is 20. Then my width is 7 and the fourth point is 15. Then my width is 5 and the fifth point is 30. And again my width is 5 and the last point is 20. Write it in the calculator to calculate the area using the left Riemann sum.